Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudev.
So today's session is all about contribution of art of living in the field of agriculture. जितने भी लोग देख रहे हैं भारत के गांव-गांव में से उन सबका स्वागत है. All of you who are watching from different countries, we welcome you to this lovely interaction that we are going to have today. So, आज हमारे साथ है डॉक्टर वंदना शिवाजी और प्रभाकर राव जी, अंकुश दादा भाले. प्रभाकर राव और अंकुश दादा भालेकर हमारे एग्रीकल्चर ट्रस्ट के ट्रस्टी है. हमने उनके कई सारे वीडियोस देखे हैं, हम उनको जानते हैं. और डॉक्टर वंदना शिवाजी को तो पूरी दुनिया जानती है. उनके बुक्स, उनके इंस्पिरेशनल टॉक्स हमने सुने हैं. कई सारे आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग के कॉन्फ्रेंसेस में वो आई है. गुरुदेव के साथ जो अभी उनका लाइव इंटरेक्शन हुआ था जूम पे, वो सबने हमने देखा है. तो आज का जो डिस्कशन है ये पूरा रहेगा फोकस्ड अबाउट किस तरह से खेती में काम हो सकता है, किस तरह से काम होना चाहिए, और कोविड-19 जो अभी सिनारियो है, किस तरह से आगे हम एग्रीकल्चर को देखते हैं. अंकुश दादा जो हमारे एग्रीकल्चर ट्रस्ट के ट्रस्टी है, महाराष्ट्र में फार्मर्स के साथ काफी काम किया है. लगभग 5300 विलेजेस में पिछले साल उन्होंने काफी सारा काम किया कि किस तरह से फार्मर्स को गवर्नमेंट सब्सिडी मिले, किस तरह से फार्मर्स के एफपीओस बने, साथ में काम हो सके. आंध्र प्रदेश में भी उन्होंने काम किया है. 7800 विलेजेस को गवर्नमेंट ने उनको दिया था. काफी सारा काम गवर्नमेंट के साथ वो कर रहे हैं एग्रीकल्चर लैंडस्केप के ऊपर. और गुरुदेव के प्रेरणा से नेचुरल फार्मिंग के लिए वो काफी प्रेरित है. प्रभाकर राव जी के बारे में कई सारे न्यूज आर्टिकल हमने पढ़े हैं. उन्होंने लगभग 142 सीड्स जो एक्सटिंक्शन के कगार पे थे, विलुप्त होने के कगार पे थे, उन्होंने उसको पुनर्जीवित किया है. उसको वापस से उन्होंने, ही इज अ सीड कीपर, और उसी के साथ नेचुरल फार्मिंग को प्रमोट करना ये उनका पैशन है. भारत में जो ग्रीन रिवॉल्यूशन हुई थी, तब वो जो साइंटिस्ट का ग्रुप था जिन्होंने इसको पूरे भारत में प्रमोट किया था, उसमें प्रभाकर राव जी थे. बट जब उनको लगा कि इससे बेहतर कुछ किया जा सकता है, तो गुरुदेव ने उन्होंने अपना फील्ड बीच में चेंज किया था. आर्किटेक्चर में गए थे और कई सारे ब्यूटीफुल लैंडस्केप उन्होंने पूरे विश्व में बनाए हैं. तो गुरुदेव ने उनको फिर से 2013 में 2013-14 में एग्रीकल्चर में लेके आए और काफी तब से उन्होंने काम किया है. डॉक्टर वंदना का इंट्रोडक्शन जो है, डॉक्टर वंदना शिवाजी का इंट्रोडक्शन, वो बहुत ही इंस्पिरेशनल है हम सब के लिए. आज वो इस शो पे आई है, ये सही में भाग्य है. फोर्ब्स मैगजीन ने 7 मोस्ट पावरफुल वुमन इन द ग्लोब में उनका मेंशन किया था. एशिया वीक में वन ऑफ द मोस्ट 5 पावरफुल कम्युनिकेटर में उनका मेंशन किया था. टाइम मैगजीन ने एनवायरमेंटल हीरो के नाम से उनको सम्मानित किया है. और फार्मर्स को जिस तरह से एक केमिकल फार्मिंग के द्वारा फंसाया जा रहा है, कह सकते हैं, उस चक्र में फंसाया जा रहा है, चक्रव्यूह में फंसाया जा रहा है, और उससे किस तरह से लोगों का नुकसान होता है इसके ऊपर, और किस तरह से उससे बाहर निकाल के एक अच्छी इकोनॉमी क्रिएट की जा सकती है, इसमें वो एक्सपर्ट है. प्रभाकर राव जी उनके बारे में और भी कहेंगे, पर शुरुआत करने से पहले मैं तीनों स्पीकर से ये जानना चाहूंगा, एग्रीकल्चर में इंटरेस्ट, और उसमें भी एक तरह का जो ट्रेंड चल रहा है, उसमें अनफॉर्चुनेट है बट रेबल एटीट्यूड कि ये ठीक नहीं है, इसको ठीक करना पड़ेगा, और सब छोड़ के उसके पीछे लगना. इसकी शुरुआत कहाँ से हुई, मैं हर एक से पूछना चाहूंगा. अगर 5 मिनट्स में अगर बता सके. अंकुश दादा, आप बताना शुरू कर सकते हो. कैन वी स्टार्ट विद यू?
Nature extinguishes the species which doesn't support the whole. ऐसा अनुभव आज तक का नेचर का हमें है. और आज के कोरोना का जो भी इशू अब पूरी दुनिया के सामने आया है, उसके ऊपर से लग रहा है कि are we the human species on the list of the nature? Whole world is worried about this. Or in the background of this, I really appreciate the work started by Sri Ravishankar ji. is talking about natural farming, chemical-free farming since the year 1984. All the time he is working on that. I remember when I joined Art of Living in the year 92, 93. I think it was my second advanced course. I was in politics. I was an advocate. I was activist in the anti-superstition committee work. I was active in healing, Reiki healing, and Guruji in that advanced course said, हमें धरती बचाओ अभियान करना पड़ेगा. Now being in politics, I said, ये तो political statement हो गया. So Guruji didn't look at me, and he started talking about his concept of what is Dharti Bachao. That day my eyes were opened, and being a farmer myself, I was not really aware of this, and I thought, what important topic Guruji has taken up for this to save the whole earth. And from that day I started studying, and मुझे लगा कि मेरे पूर्वज तो ऐसी खेती कर रहे थे, ये केमिकल का कब से आया. Then I started becoming aware, and I remember father-in-law of my son, Vasantrao Thackeray from Dhulia. From in the year 1988, he was already doing all the natural farming practices. He never used any chemical, and I was impressed by that. He was so nature-loving. He has written about 20-30 books on environment, natural farming, and these things. And he was working, and when I was working in Art of Living as teacher, he used to ridicule me कि क्या कर रही है, ये आनंदी रहने का, ये लोग पूरी दुनिया मरने वाली है, आप इसमें आ जाओ. और मैं उनसे आर्गुमेंट करता था कि भाई साहब, जो कारण से दुनिया ये एनवायरनमेंट का खराब कर रहे है जो आदमी, उसका मन ठीक करना, ये काम बेसिक ज्यादा है आपके काम से. और आज ऐसी अवस्था आ गई कि पूरी दुनिया ये मन की मानवता का जो ग्रीड है, उसकी वजह से पूरा दुनिया खत्म होने के लिए आई है. एंड इस वक्त हमें, मुझे लगता है कि आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग रोल, गुरुजी का जो मार्गदर्शन ये नेचुरल फार्मिंग के बारे में है, बहुत क्रुशियल है. दुनिया बचा सकता है. The two movements which are started by Guruji, which will really revolutionize Indian economy and world economy also, is training the youth and giving them right mindset and being attached to the nature, being supportive to the whole. ये जो गुरुजी का एटीट्यूड है, मुझे लगता है this is the only work, this is the only attitude which can save this planet. और हम देख रहे हैं कि 150 देशों के लोग रोज एक महीने से सुबह और शाम में रोज गुरुजी का जो मेडिटेशन है और गुरुजी के विचार है सुन रहे हैं, इंस्पायर हो रहे हैं. और मुझे लगता है एट दिस मोमेंट आई सी श्री श्री रविशंकर एज द ओनली सेवियर ऑफ द प्लेनेट. एंड उनकी प्रेरणा से हम हमेशा काम करते रहे हैं, आगे भी काम करेंगे. मुझे याद है गुरुजी कह रहे थे, जब ये केमिकल फ्री फार्मिंग का बोल रहे थे, कि देयर आर वेव्स ऑफ द नॉलेज आल्सो. वन वेव केम विच सेड दैट केमिकल यूज से इतना इतना अनाज बढ़ेगा एंड होल प्लेनेट विल बी सपोर्टेड. नाउ अनदर वेव हैज स्टार्टेड वेयर केमिकल फ्री फार्मिंग प्रैक्टिसेस आर गेनिंग इम्पोर्टेंस. तो मुझे लगता है कि अभी जो तरह से हम काम कर रहे देश में, वो तरह से नेचुरल फार्मिंग का और जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड सीड के जो प्रोसेस है, यूजिंग टेक्निकल नॉलेज फॉर द डिस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द प्लेनेट. मुझे याद है, आई वाज रीडिंग दैट बुक बाय अमेरिकन ऑथर, आई डोंट रिमेम्बर द नेम ऑफ द ऑथर, सीड्स ऑफ डिस्ट्रक्शन. It was written in the year 84, 85, 86, something like that. And then that author, the American author, said that we are destroying the whole human race because of this genetically modified practices. And really, I mean, I really get inspired by Vandana Shivaji's work on this subject, and feel that her work is pioneer on this in this area. मुझे लगता है आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग के लिए ये रोल आज से आज बहुत बड़ा है. सारे टीचर्स, वॉलंटियर्स, जितना महत्व है सांस का, उतना ही महत्व जो हम खा रहे उसके बारे में भी है. मुझे याद है कि जब दिल्ली का पोल्यूशन बहुत बढ़ गया था, तो गुरुजी ने कहा था कि आर्ट ऑफ लिविंग के फॉलोअर्स को कि 21 डेज के लिए सुदर्शन क्रिया ना करें. If the pollution is to that extent, even Sudarshan Kriya also, I mean, has its own limitations. इसका मतलब यही है कि जो हम रोज विष खा रहे हैं केमिकल के द्वारा, वो अगर बंद नहीं किए तो हमारी पूरे फैकल्टी, जैसा अन्न वैसा मन, ऐसा बोलते हैं, तो हमारा मन इतना खराब हो गया है बिकॉज ऑफ व्हाट वी ईट. तो उसके वजह से अगर व्यक्ति को अपनी पूरी इनर पोटेंशियलिटीज को अगर ऊपर बढ़ाने के लिए काम करना है, तो व्हाट यू ईट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. और इससे विष मुक्त अन्न, ये बहुत बड़ा स्लोगन हो सकता है, बहुत बड़ा काम हो सकता है. ये मानवता की सबसे बड़ी सेवा हो सकती है. और उसमें प्रभाकर जी है, गुरुजी ने स्थापन किया हुआ या श्री श्री एग्रीकल्चर साइंसेस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी ट्रस्ट है, और वंदना जी ये इसमें काम कर रहे हैं. मुझे लगता है दिस इज द मोस्ट अप्रोप्रिएट सेवा एट दिस मोमेंट. वो कोरोना वायरस के बारे में अभी जो कर रहे थे, हमारी इम्यूनिटी बढ़ाने के लिए जो फूड वी ईट इज मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग. और वही हमारी इम्यूनिटी अगर कम कर रहा हो, गुरुजी बार बार बोलते हैं शुगर शुगर, व्हाइट शुगर मत लो, कोई सुनता ही नहीं. और इंडिया का तो पूरा इकोनॉमी वो शुगर फैक्ट्रीज के ऊपर बढ़ा रहे. Absolutely wrong decisions. So we should influence the government also and stop these unhealthy practices
जी
of this. लगता है ये काम हम वंदना शिवाजी के मार्गदर्शन में कर सकते हैं. मैं वंदना जी को बोलूंगा कि आप भी कुछ बोलिए.
वंदना जी, how your journey start? I mean, a woman going around the world and telling everybody, घर में तो खाना तो माता ही खिलाती है, बट क्या खाना चाहिए ये पूरे विश्व को सिखाना का काम आप कर रही है. तो ये इसकी शुरुआत कैसे हुई, क्या इंस्पायर किया?
Well, you know, actually, my training is in physics, and I did a PhD in the foundations of quantum theory on non-separation, on indeterminism, in uncertainty, but most importantly on the fact that how you measure decides whether a quantum will become a particle or it becomes a wave. So contextual systemic relationships is what my physics training was. And I had done my MSc honors in physics from Punjab University. In 1984, Punjab erupted in violence. When I had studied, it was the most prosperous, happy state. And 84, not only did Punjab erupt in violence, but that same year on 2nd December night, in the city of Bhopal, a pesticide plant owned then by Union Carbide and now by Dow, which has merged with DuPont, and they are among what the poison cartel, the chemical cartel. I was in those days working for the United Nations University on a program on conflicts over resources. And I said to them, there's something going on here. I need to study it. So I did a book for them called The Violence of the Green Revolution. And in the process, I asked myself 3 questions. A, where did these chemicals come from? And I realized they came from Hitler's concentration camps through a company called IG Farben, which worked with Standard Oil and all the American companies and the German companies. Even though America and Germany were at war, the companies were working together to make poisons to kill people. And after the war, they said, let's use these as agrochemicals. So I realized then in 84 that agrochemicals are not agrochemicals. They're designed to kill people. Now they kill insects. and they are the root cause of disease in the world. The second question I asked myself is, if this was supposed to be about the prosperity of farmers, why are the farmers so angry? Why are they saying we are in slavery? Why are they rising in protest? The day the military was sent to the Golden Temple was the day the farmers of Punjab had declared a band that they would not supply grain to Delhi till they came out of the slavery. So I started to look at the economics of this. And the third thing I said is, so what are the measures? And, I'm trained in math and physics, so I know how to count. And I realized the measure of yield was a very misleading measure. Because of my book, I started to get invited to conferences on agriculture. And because I was learning, and I'm still learning, I'm a perpetual student, I went to a meeting on biotechnology. It was called Laws of Life, 1987. That is when the chemical companies said, we will do genetically engineered seed in order to claim that we have invented the seed and take a patent. And we will do this for the whole world through, at that time, GATT, which became WTO, and the Intellectual Property Rights Agreement. And I said, but you don't invent the seed. The seed is nature's gift. Farmers have evolved it, bred it over millennia. How can you claim a patent on seed? So that day I decided I would dedicate the rest of my life to save seeds. And a few years later, the name of the seed saving movement became Navdanya. And I learned this. I was, I had also worked in Bangalore at the IIM. And so I first started my work with former students and research assistants in Bangalore at the IIM. And I remember I had gone for a seed collection to the area which Veerappan controlled. And, in that border of Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, because Veerappan didn't let agricultural extension officers come, the old seeds were still there. And during a collection trip, a tribal farmer who had 9 crops in his field, and because I'd done the study on Punjab and I used to see monocultures of rice, monocultures of wheat, monoculture of rice, monoculture of wheat, I realized that there were 9 crops I counted. I said, wow, you're growing 9 crops. And he looked at me and said, stupid woman, don't you know that this is Navdanya? So I asked him, what is the significance? And this tribal farmer from Tamil Nadu taught me the significance of Navdanya, that the 9 planets, the 9 crops in the field, and the harmony and balance in our body, which is what makes health, our wholesomeness, that they are one continuum. And we have a duty to maintain this. And his cultivation of diversity was maintaining the cosmic balance and the health balance of our body. That's the day I started naming our movement Navdanya. And of course, I've worked closely with Guruji. I'm so grateful. The early Yuvachars came to us at Navdanya at the Bij Vidyapeeth. I've named a school, the Bij Vidyapeeth, the School of the Seed. And we offer courses for farmers, for youth who want to make a transition. The crisis now is so severe. And over these years, I've done much, much more work on agriculture than any other field. I've done a book called Who Really Feeds the World for the Expo in Milan. 75% of the destruction of land, 75% of the destruction of water, 90% of the destruction of biodiversity, 50% of the greenhouse gases that are devastating the planet's climate, are all from a chemical industrial agriculture. And if we save our seeds, we grow biodiversity, we can grow more food, more nutrition, we can heal the climate, regenerate the soil, regenerate the water, and most importantly, bring back biodiversity by working in alignment with nature rather than at war with nature. So if you were to ask me, what have I learned in these 35 years? That we have a system of war against nature, which becomes a war against our health, and another system of working in service of nature, which becomes the road to prosperity for all. You're off. Digvijay, your sound is off, your audio.
Phenomenal work, Dr. Vandana ji. Dr. Prabhakar ji, how did your journey started? Being a PhD in agriculture to green revolution to architecture and again back to seed bank. How this whole journey started?
Thank you very much, Digvijay. My journey, basically, like you have said, I mean, I studied my PhD in plant breeding and genetics, and my mentors were people like Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, Dr. N.B. Rao, and we heralded the green revolution into the country. But there was something in me which, even at that time, kept on asking and saying, is this a sustainable technology? Is what we are promoting? I mean, we were the people who told the farmers, grow hybrids, put bore wells, use fertilizers. But there was something in me that, really was not resonating with what I had learned and what I was actually communicating to the farmers of India. So somewhere along the way, I said, not comfortable with this. Therefore, when I went to the US, to Baton Rouge in Louisiana, I changed my field of study. I studied architecture, specializing in landscape architecture. And all my professional career has been that of a landscape architect, doing projects across the world. But there was always this thing when I read from the books of people like Vandana ji, about the destruction and the trail of misery that industrial agriculture has left across the world, and especially in India. There was that guilt that somehow unknowingly, unintentionally, I was a part of that, which brought so much misery into this land. Then in 2011, when Gurudev called me back to India, we came back, and it is only a master like Sri who can give me a platform to actually absolve myself of a guilt and a burden that I carried. In 2014, he inducted me into the Agriculture Trust and gave me a platform of 2.2 million farmers with whom I could promote natural farming, which is the antithesis of what I had studied and what I had propagated in my days. So it was such a wonderful opportunity. And today I do work with the Art of Living Trust, promoting this sustainable technology, which Vandana ji will speak more about later in the program. But this became my passion. And with this, just as Vandana ji said, the destruction which is there in our biodiversity of seed, this was shocking to me. Do you know, just about 80 years ago, if you went to the market for tomatoes, there would be 128 varieties of tomatoes, 422 varieties of brinjals. You would have capsicums, 380 varieties of capsicums. Today, we have got nothing. So it became my passion to save vegetable seeds. And today, through the Haryali seeds, I save, and I've saved about 142 varieties, stabilized them genetically and environmentally, brought them back into the mainstream. But it is this platform that only a master can give you, where you can come back to, in some small way, right a wrong that you were, unintentionally a part of. So that has been my journey, Digvijay ji.
Prabhakar ji, and how did you meet Vandana ji?
Vandana ji has always been my mentor. I have read almost all the books she has written, and she is my inspiring force. I mean, to me, if I look up to somebody for all the work I'm doing, I mean, when we do in Art of Living, we do thousands and thousands of courses for farmers. And I put up Vandana ji's photo right up in front of my presentations. Ankush Dada knows how I do it. And I say, she is our champion. She is our hero. And she is the one against all odds who is battling this, what she terms as the chemical cartel, And therefore, to me, I would actually start off my discussions with Vandana ji on this platform we have all heard so much about her through the introductions, but let me tell you something about a book that specially touched me, which she called Vedic Ecology. That book, Vandanaji, which you wrote, every time I read it, and I've read this book so many times, every time it seems it is more relevant to today than ever before. Could you sort of throw some light on what it is doing? Because Art of Living lives this. Sri Sri promotes this with every breath to every farmer. How is it that you conceived this at that time, and how is it that it is so relevant to today, Vandanaji?
You know, as I mentioned, I am absolutely no Vedic scholar. I went off trying to study physics. But when I was studying the Green Revolution, I had, of course, grown up. You know, my mother, when she came back as a refugee after the partition, she was in higher education. She used to be an inspectress of schools. She said, I'm going to be a farmer now because it's the highest vocation. So I grew up on a pre-Green Revolution farm. So I knew what farming's like. But when I was looking at the Green Revolution, the publications of that time were by and large all about how the soil is an empty container, how the seed has to be adapted to chemicals, and fertilizers are fuels, and the plant is a machine. I was looking for what was Indian agriculture like in the literature before the Green Revolution. And I then found a copy in the ICAR library of the book by Sir Albert Howard called The Agricultural Testament. Now, Howard had been sent to India in 1905 to improve Indian agriculture, because colonialism is about improving a seed, a human being, the planet. Everything is wrong. Nature doesn't know its work. So he was sent to India to improve Indian agriculture, to Pusa, which is why even today our agriculture institute is called the Pusa Institute, though it had to move to Delhi because of the earthquake in Pusa. So 1905, Howard comes and sees the fields of India and finds they're full of diversity, they're full of insects and no pests. And as he writes, I decided to make the peasant and the pest my professor and learn from them. The book Agricultural Testament, therefore, is about the continuity of Indian agriculture from Vedic times. And the two principles he distilled from it were the principle of diversity and the principle of the law of return. So if you think of industrial agriculture and the mechanical thinking, it's about monocultures of the mind, no place for diversity, and it's about extraction, no giving back. The Vedic values are about realizing we are children of the earth. For me, one of the most inspiring poems of the world is the Bhumi Sutra of the Atharva Veda, which says, you give me everything and let me not harm you, let me not pierce you to your heart. So everything we evolved was with a deep sense of non-violence to the earth, recognizing the earth is Mother Earth. And the second, of diversity, knowing there's a huge interconnectedness. I remember the satsang, the beautiful satsang with Guruji, where we have the dialogue on the Annakosh, that we are not empty shells. We have layers and layers and layers of consciousness. But our interaction with other biodiversity is through the food system. And I have learned now, and I apply my quantum learning to this, that the non-separation of life is through the flow of food, the flow of nutrition. And that is why it is our duty to do an agriculture of biodiversity, to do an agriculture of respect for the earth. And where do we learn this? We learn it from our ancient wisdom, and it's all being validated by the latest of contemporary science.
Wow. The separation of life is at the flow of food. How beautifully you enunciate that, Vandanaji. Every time I listen to you, there are so many pearls of wisdom that we pick up. And in that context, Vandanaji, I would like you then to talk and throw light on what is happening now in the COVID scenario, where Gurudev has said repeatedly what the choice that you have in your hand right now and what is in your control right now is to keep your immunity high. Anything else can happen, but if you keep your immunity levels high, then you have got a far better chance of battling this particular war that we have on hand. And to do this, you have so beautifully written in so many of your books, what goes in is what you are made of. And today, more than ever, we need healthy, nutritious food. Not, as you said, yield per se. We don't want to know how many million tons of food we are producing, but how many million tons of nutrition are we giving to the population of India? And in this context, how does growing food in the ways that you have described become more relevant when keeping immunity at an all-time high is our priority? This is what Art of Living is promoting across the country through its natural program, training programs, home gardening programs. We are creating awareness for this, but please shed light on the importance of this at this moment.
So you mentioned the term yield, Prabhakar Raoji, and it's so clearly so misleading, because what does yield measure, as you know so well? It only measures the part of the farm produce that goes to the market. It doesn't measure everything you produce. And that's why in 1995, I started to evolve biodiversity-based productivity. Yeah. A different measure of assessing everything that's grown on the farm, because we need the pulses, we need the oil seeds, we need the energy, we need the fruit, we need the vegetables. It is so wrong to imagine the calories is all we need, and that to empty calories. So yield doesn't measure how did you treat the land, and that's the most important part. Agriculture is the roots of agriculture is the care of the land. It was never about production of commodities. It was about care for. And if we care for the land, then of course the produce comes. But what's coming out of this system based on chemicals is nutritionally empty, toxic food. Yeah. So it's totally destroying our immunity, but it's also doing more. As I've written in my ecological reflections on the coronavirus, and it's available on the Navdanya website as my blog on Jiva, on how to live on this planet. When you only measure yield, and it's not about food, it's about the tons, then everywhere GM soya will grow. Everywhere GM corn will grow. 90% of which will not even come into food, which is why 1 billion people are permanently hungry, 2 billion are vulnerable with the corona epidemic, 130 million are going to face starvation, according to the World Food Program. 300,000 a day will die of hunger, not of the virus. So this invasion of 2 monocultures of GMO crops is not solving the hunger problem, it's creating a hunger problem, because 90% of it goes for biofuel, running our cars, and for animal feed, torturing our animals. Animals are herbivores. Herbivores means they like to eat herbs. They need roughage. That's why cows were given 4 stomachs. And here we are giving them concentrates of GM soya, GM corn. This limitless appetite of commodity production, which is what agribusiness does, has led to the invasion into forests. The Amazon is burning for GMO soya. Indonesian rainforests are burning for palm oil. Bad oils, both are bad oils for health. And yet the forest is going. 300 of the new epidemic diseases that have been created in the last 30 years are a result of the invasion of an inefficient, clumsy agriculture model for greed into the forest ecosystems. So you've created new diseases. And then when those diseases affect us, that is the quantum theory, that it's about potential. It's not about absolutism. The same thing can have a potential with immunity if you eat well, and it can have a potential for suffering if you have no resilience, if your immunity is low. So how has the chemical industrial monoculture reduced immunity? By growing monocultures of nutritionally empty crops. And the data is so clear. We have a report that's available for free download from the Navdanya website. It's called Health Per Acre. I would suggest that those who are interested should read it, because I started to save seeds and grow biodiversity. A few years later, we worked with 200 farmers in depth on the biodiversity-based productivity. And then I converted that productivity of biodiversity into nutrition on the basis of the nutrition tables issued by the National Institute of Nutrition in India. Globally, what we see is that 60 to 70% of the nutrition in crops has gone because of chemical farming. Because when your soil has no nutrition, your plants have no nutrition, and you don't eat nutrition. Navdanya's research is showing that in the 20 years in Dehradun, we have built up 100% more organic matter, 100% more nitrogen, whereas it's gone down 22% in chemical soils. We've built up zinc. Zinc is such an important factor in building immunity. Everywhere you'll see doctors are talking about taking zinc. If we grow biodiversity in this country, we would have 64% more zinc available in our food. If we grow biodiversity, no woman would have to die of anemia. We would have 20 million women's diet of iron-rich foods. If we grew biodiversity, we wouldn't have to do genetically modified golden rice. 1.5 billion adults would have adequate vitamin A. This is based on actual farms and scientific data of the National Institute of Nutrition. When we eat nutritionally empty toxic food, and on top of it, we eat industrially processed food, our immunity collapses by a number of processes, but all of them are related to what happens to our gut. Our gut is an amazing ecosystem of biodiversity. 60 trillion microbes are in our gut. And that's why in Ayurveda, we always talked of Agni, that what you eat decides your health. Annam sarva aushati. In Western health, food has been separated from health. The chemical companies and the poison cartel gives us disease. But the same poison cartel is also the pharmaceutical industry. Monsanto is now being bought by Bayer. Bayer is also the monopolizer of patents on cancer. So they give you disease and they have the cure. So for them, it's a perpetual motion profit machine. You know, it's an amazing business model, but it's a very bad life model.
That's
it
right.
goes against the art of living.
That is right.
So when we attack our gut, we attack our gut by two ways. We starve our microbes by not giving them nutrition they need. All of those 380 microbes have a different diet. Amazing sensors. And the gut is now being called the second brain. That is why neurological activity begins. Unlike in the West, where they put the brain here, in our Indian ecological thinking, everything is alive and intelligent. Every cell is intelligent. And in the gut, as our microbes process and create the enzymes, Those enzymes then create the neurotransmitters that make our brain function. Have you ever wondered why neurodegenerative diseases are exploding? When I was growing up, the old people were the ones with good memory. They tell you, son इसमें ये हुआ, उसने ऐसे किया, ये लड़ाई हुई. All our oral history was transmitted through memory. And now everyone's got Alzheimer's. Everyone's got dementia. 1 in 2 children in America will be autistic in a few years' time because there's been an attack on our health through an attack on the gut. So you starve some bacteria, but the other is you use so many chemicals. Now, I remember these debates on the GMO question. The 2 most important GMOs are Roundup resistant crops, which need Roundup and glyphosate, and BT toxin crops. The BT cotton has totally failed. The records are there. And I hope out of our initiative for natural farming, we'll make sure that the government never moves and never repeats the tragedy of Maharashtra with hundreds and thousands of suicide. Of the 400,000 suicide, 85% are in the cotton belt. 99% cotton seed was monopolized by Monsanto till we started to save seeds and have created seed systems for organic farmers. The glyphosate, Monsanto always said it can't affect humans because only plants have what is called the shikimate pathway. Scientists were always telling us that the bacteria in our gut have a shikimate pathway. Human cells don't, but the bacteria do. So when we eat Roundup loaded food, those bacteria are being killed. Therefore, they can't perform the function to maintain the whole. And that's why our vulnerability and collapse of immunity. And the data is clear on COVID. People don't die of a COVID infection. 0.5% do. Some places, 1. In Italy, it was the old people with other coexisting diseases. In United States, it was the poor blacks who are now on the streets, poor people, because they have been treated like trash ever since they were captured as slaves for the monoculture cotton plantations. The blacks are in food deserts. Can you imagine in this beautiful earth where everyone can eat well, where 2 times the world's population can be fed with nutrition and have immunity, they live in food deserts. They have no immunity. They have obesity, they have diabetes. If you have diabetes, the risk of your dying increases to 9.2%. If you have cancer, it is 7.6%. So all the chemical diseases, the chemically induced diseases, because of the attack on our body, makes us more vulnerable. And that's why not only is it our duty for the earth to clothe her in the beauty of diversity, we didn't give this diversity just like that. It's our duty to save seeds. It's our duty to grow these seeds. And we have to shed the monoculture of the mind that misled us to doing the wrong calculus, that gave us the wrong metric and made us go down the poisoned path. But we also need to do this as a health system. I think we need to stop thinking of agriculture as a yield and commodity production system. We should start seeing it as a nutrition and health producing system. Our ecological farmers, our organic farmers, our natural farmers are our true physicians. The soil is our true physician.
That is so beautifully enunciated. Coming back to the yield, the health per acre that you spoke about, I'd just like to sort of highlight one of the things that Gurudev initiated in Punjab. We were responsible, Vandana ji, for reviving a ancient variety of wheat. It is one of the dicoccum wheats which were ancient, perhaps at least 2,000 years, a round spherical triticum variety, which Gurudev named as Sona Moti because it was round and it had the golden color on it. The yield of this is about 8 quintals an acre against the regular one that's touted around 14, 15, some say even 20, doesn't matter. But when we did the nutritional analysis of this wheat, we found that it was at least 1.5x to 2x plus when it came to minerals. And folic acid, Vandana ji, was one of the key components of this particular wheat. And it had zinc that you so spoke about. So much of zinc, more zinc than any other wheat variety. Our farmers this Rabi season harvested nearly 100 quintals, 100 tons, sorry, of this wheat, and they have sold it at their earning was 75 rupees a kilo per wheat. So, in terms of nutrition as well as benefit for the farmer, this far outstrips any other wheat that they would have grown, and bringing back this biodiversity that is still left in our country, what Art of Living is so relentlessly doing under Puja Gurudev's guidance. This is, I believe, the kind of post-COVID landscape that we are going to see in agriculture that has been actually predicted by you. Now, when it comes to the work of saving the biodiversity, where there is no business model for selling the seed, what are your thoughts, Vandanaji? Because if I take seed from Navadanya, I can multiply it and sell it. There is nothing that accrues to Navadanya, unlike these companies, hybrid and GMO companies, where farmer goes back and buys seed every year. If we have to create a platform where farmers multiplying indigenous seeds are benefited, what would your thoughts be on that?
Yeah. So just one little reflection also on the wheat. Um, one of the things I have had to deal with is fight against biopiracy, because I know that the seed multiplies and creates itself. But two, that the knowledge of what the different plants do, what the different varieties are, is knowledge of our farmers, of our grandmothers. So the first case of biopiracy I fought was on neem, where the chemical companies that had polluted the world were now taking patents with the United States government. And I fought that case for 11 years, and we defeated the biggest superpower, and at that time, one of the biggest chemical companies. It took 11 years, and I took 100,000 signatures from India to say, this is our heritage. How can you say it's your invention? One of the other patents I had to fight was a Monsanto patent on Indian wheat for creating a market for gluten-free food for all products, all crops, all dough, everything. So they knew that our wheats are gluten-free, and they were now trying to patent it. Why are Indian wheats not contributing to gluten allergies? Every third person in the West now has gluten allergies. Because when you breed for uniformity, our gut, again, feels it's being attacked. The gut is used to diversity. When it gets only one kind of attack, it feels I'm under attack, so it develops allergy. Allergy is the body's defense system that something is wrong. Allergy should be treated as a signal that the body is telling you, stop eating the nonsense you're eating. Shift to biodiverse, ecological, organic food. But the second reason is we have changed the nature of wheat for the processing. We, with very heavy machinery to make 1 billion loaves of bread by one factory, you need a lot of elasticity because you do so much violence in the process. If you just take your atta and gundo it and just roll it out, your chapati doesn't get, we don't treat our roti as a zone of violence. But industrial bread is a product of violence. Now, that required excessive gluten expression. So the wheats were pushed to express gluten. Our wheats silence the gluten gene. And that's why we have no gluten allergy. And as you said, that's our experience in Navdanya. We have saved 250 varieties of wheat. At the farm, we have 750 varieties of rice across India in our 150 community seed banks. We have 4,000 varieties of rice, including varieties that can tolerate salt and are necessary because of the cyclones, that can tolerate floods. Again, there's an attempt to patent what our farmers have evolved. And this has been another of my biopiracy fight, that all you do is steal what we have evolved. So in terms of the model, you see, in Navdanya, I've built the movement really for bringing back seeds. And we follow the old principle of if I take seed from you, whenever I have the capacity, I will give you 1.25 or 1.5 back. And that has served very, very well. But as you mentioned, if within, my target is within the next 10 years, by the year 2030, we should make India a Jaivik Bharat, a Bharat based on life and not on death. Not the death of farmers with suicide, not the death of people with cancer, not the death of biodiversity through spreading toxics. And this regeneration is in our learning, it's in our practice. We've done it. So we know it can be doable. So let's work together, Prabhakar Raoji, Art of Living, Navdanya. Let's really make by 2030 agriculture that is chemical free, which will be debt free, it'll be disease free, it'll be hunger and malnutrition free. For this, we'll need the seeds on a much, much larger scale. But we will still need it to be community to community. Ankush Dada was introduced in terms of the FPO model. My little gift to this country has been to fight, not just to save seeds, but to fight to make laws that did not allow the corporations to own and patent seed. In our laws, we have an Article 3J. It is an amazing article. It says plants, animals, and seeds are not human inventions. Therefore, they cannot be patented. This was triggered by my 1987 meeting. So no company can patent our seeds. No person can patent seeds. We also worked, I was appointed to draft a farmers' rights law, because in the West, they have a breeder's rights, as you know, Prabhakar Raoji.
Yes.
And I said, but our farmers are the breeders. At that point, 80% seed was farmer seed. So we have a Plant Variety Protection and Farmers' Rights Act. And in this, there's a clause on farmers' rights that the right for farmers to have, save, improve, sell seed is non-alienable. So legally, we've created a framework. I think what we should do, and let's do this when the lockdown is over, I'll come to the ashram. I'll come with Guruji, and we can launch this as the regeneration of India. I think along with FPOs, let's start creating in the FPOs seed producer organizations, farmers groups who take native seeds. And because I work on this so deeply, and I think the other thing, if we can ask Guruji, if he could identify labs that would just take indigenous seeds and assess their nutrition. Because globally, I have seen one old apricot which looks, are bichara bechara hai, it's not high yielding. It has 50 times more nutrition than the apricots bred for size and yield. So size and yield is a recipe for nutritional emptiness and for immunity collapse. So our old varieties are what we need. There's nothing deficient about them. And they're not stuck because life is an evolutionary process. They're constantly adapting. And we, in Navdanya, we do a 1-month course on the A to Z of biodiversity, agroecology, regeneration. And we spend a week on seed, including participatory breeding, including evolutionary breeding. There's one of the top scientists in breeding who used to work in Acre in Aleppo, comes and teaches. I don't know how long this will be possible, but he has evolved evolutionary breeding. He says seeds are intelligent, nature's intelligent, climate is changing, the seed will evolve to adapt and select those seeds that are better able to. So we need evolutionary breeding, and farmers are totally capable of doing this. And if, just like Yuvachar's claim earlier, if some people were to come to the Navdanya farm, we can work on all of this very well. What we can do now is, in the FPO structure, have seed producing groups. We don't need another legal structure. In the FPO structure, some produce the vegetable to eat, and some produce the vegetable seeds to distribute. Some produce the wheat seeds, some produce the rice seeds. And let us work on this. And as I said, no corporation can come and dare say you don't have the right, because over the last 30 years, we have secured the sovereign rights for our biodiversity, our seed sovereignty.
Oh, Vandanaji, this really fills my heart. We invite you. Definitely, we'll set up the platform with Gurudev for you to visit the ashram after the lockdown. And this term that you have, the SPOs, the seed producer organizations, the indigenous seed producers, let's make this a reality, because I know Gurudev is so bent on this. He has been speaking about this for years now, and I think time has come. And I might have put together a logic architecture, Vandanaji, where we can use the blockchain technology to clearly archive and document from the first producer of the seed, every multiplication it goes through, the entire thing would be documented and preserved, so that every seed that is there put out for sale will have the entire janam patri, the pedigree of which farmers initiated, who multiplied, etc. So a model can be developed where, like for a book has a royalty, we can, sort of give a small royalty to the first progenitors and then the subsequent producers, and perhaps make this a really sustainable and nationwide platform where the SPOs will really bring about this revolution that you're talking about. And this, Vandanaji, will be the real green revolution of India.
Yeah. But just one request, Prabhakar Raoji. Just because today someone has in their keeping seed that has been evolved by generations, our Vedas don't have authors, our Upanishads don't have authors. Let us not get locked in the royalty system.
Okay.
Let us not call any farmer an inventor of seed, because no one can invent seed. You take care of seed, you evolve seed, you breed seed, but the core evolutionary potential of the seed is the seeds. We work as co-creators with the seed. So let us not, adopt the vocabulary. Guruji will give you the vocabulary from Vedic learning of what should be. Like when we never had labor as a commodity in this country. I remember doing work on South India. They used to have a Kudimarammat. The village used to get together to maintain the tanks. That's why we had such amazing tanks. No one said, I'm going to wait for someone to pay me. My labor power is for sale. I think we need to increase, and I'm going to be doing a manifesto on this, a gift economy and the care economy. We've become poorer the more we seek profits in an economic system. Abundance comes out of giving, and no one gets poorer. So let's not just shift the paradigm from yield to immunity and nutrition and biodiversity. Let's shift the paradigm of the economy from taking and linear extraction to giving and sharing. And I'm working on this, and this is another area where I'd love to work, because to me, art of, I'll just mention this because Guruji started the movement Art of Living. You know what the word economy means? According to Aristotle, ancient Greek philosophy, oikonomia is the art of living. Chrematistics, the art of money making. What we call economy today is crematistic. पैसा बनाओ, पैसा बनाओ, पैसा बनाओ, और इससे गरीब और गरीब हो रहा है. आधा भारत को कचरे की तरह फेंक दिया गया है. First, they were removed from agriculture because of that model which said we don't need farmers. They were thrown into cities. And then in the lockdown, there's no place for them. They're trudging back home. And this moment, we need to create economy as an art of living. And what better platform than the art of living movement to reclaim economy? And, if it's a village exchange, a ledger on paper is fine. Let's not burden them with blockchain. If it's national exchange, maybe. So one, no inventor, a gift transmission. Two, no royalty, a Thanksgiving. And three, no chrematistics, the art of living. And, where you mentioned how farmers are doing the old wheat in Punjab. We've done a book, Wealth Per Acre, which the last Minister of Agriculture, Radha Mohan Singh, wrote the foreword to. Just as we did the true health and nutrition per acre accounting, we did the true cost accounting. You know what the cost of chemical farming externalities is for ecology and farmers? $1.3 trillion annually. If you add to it the chronic diseases, it'll be another 1.5. It's about $3 trillion. As big as our economy is the negative footprint of this system. So we definitely need to change not just the agriculture model, but the economic model which is driving that agriculture model. And I think the time is right because now so many people are coming back to the villages. We have extra hands. Chemical agriculture, fossil fuel agriculture treated hands as the problem. The fewer the hands, the more efficient the farming, the higher the production. If you look at the data, I think I have it here. If you look at the data, two data I'll show you. So this is, they see the bubble grows. But what's the indicator? Is it more food? No, it's surface area per your farmer. And now they're working towards farming without farmers is the next step of chromatistics of money making. This is FAO data that shows that the smaller the farm, the more it produces, because the smaller the farm, you can make more diversity grow, you give more care to that farm, and you have more production and more nutrition. So all our paradigms need a massive shift. And yes, we definitely need to find ways to multiply the distribution of seed. But the first core should be local. Second should be a cluster of villages where we don't need blockchain. We just need knowledge of each other. We need trust. We need to know who is my neighbor who made the seed. Because one of the biggest dangers we have at this point is burden ourselves with too much high cost management. And that will kill the ease, the saralta of the flow of seed.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Let's make this happen, Vandanaji. Art of Living is committed to it. We are working with 2.2 million farmers already across the country. In 27 states, we are there across the country. And I believe this is a mission that is very, very close to Gurudev's heart. And we really look at this very positive, sign off that you have given to this webinar that we've had. We thank you very, very much for enlightening us with all those beautiful things. Also, the direction that you gave in terms of not having royalty, I will take that seriously into my thought process because I thought that was the direction to go. But with your guidance now, we will look at other directions with it. And maybe only at the national level, when it gets really big, we will use technology. But otherwise, at the village level, let us still use human trust to drive it and a human ledger to drive it instead of technology. I take those inputs very, very, to my heart, and we will work on this. And thank you so much for this wonderfully, wonderfully enlightening conversation that you've had with us. Looking forward to really, really wonderful times ahead, productive times ahead. Thank you so much, Vandanaji, for all your inputs.
Thank you very much.